Because without bhakti, there is no result of any other process. It is just not possible. So although in Ashtanga Yoga there is talk about Samadhi, but there also it is not possible without devotion. So for this reason, although people do not recognize this fact, they think that Ashtanga Yoga is secular, but it is not. In the beginning itself, Patanjali says, Ishwar pranidhanatva, that you have to surrender to Ishwar, God. And then he explains who is God. Of course, there he has given an option. Say Ishwar pranidhanatva, means it is an option. But when you go to the second chapter, then he explains Kriya Yoga. And in Kriya Yoga there is Ishwar pranidhana. So there is no option. And then he talks about Ashtanga Yoga, the 8 limbs for which it is called Ashtanga Yoga, Yama Niyama Asana, Pranayam, Pratyahara, Dharma, Dhyana, Samadhi. So in the Niyama, one of the Niyama is Ishwar Pranidhana. Soch, Santosh, Tapa. And then there is Ishwar Pranidhana. So if one has to really follow Ashtanga Yoga, then there is Ishwar Pranidhana. It is not an optional thing. Otherwise, it is not possible to attain perfection. So of course people just want the benefit of doing some asana and pranayam, that they will get. It's a mechanical thing, no big deal. But to get this chitta vritti nirodha, the ultimate result, it will not happen without Ishwar Pranidhana. And Ishwar Pranidhana is very clear. You have to surrender to God. In the commentary is Vyas Bhasya with Patanjali Yoga Sutra, he is very clear about it. So without bhakti, no path yields the result. Then next question. This is the chapter of questions. So Bhupatal Kakub Vyoma Graha Nakshatra Bhubhritam Sarita Samudra Dvipanam Sambhavascha Etad Okasam. And he says that, explain to me how the earth was created, how the other planetary systems were created, the sky, the directions, the planets, the stars, the Bhuvritha is the mountains, the rivers, the oceans, the islands, how they came into existence. So it's like in the science also they are studying these things, how the mountains were formed. So that there was some big tsunami, then the sand got pressed. Right? That's how the mountain is formed. So now still, if you go to the Alps, then in between the stones they have found some fish, because it was in the water before. Or you can also see the layers inside the stones, because it got compressed. High pressure and high temperature, the sand melted. So how it happened, they are also asking how the rivers were made, how the oceans were formed. Originally it was very hot, the earth came out from the sun, and it was very, very hot. And how water came. So we will study how from the fire the water comes. In the elements there is fire, then there is water, then there is earth. So earth is the last one. So that's why on earth most of it is water, and before that it was hot. So sometimes there were volcanoes erupting from inside, because it was all heat. So it is also explained here. Only thing is that here they explain it a little differently. Their language is Sanskrit. and they tell stories. But what you read in science, that you will also find here. It's not completely different. And how the stars were made, and the different planetary systems. So everything will be described, because it is not only now that people are curious to know these things. In the past also they were very curious to know who are we, from where have we come, how the earth was made, what are the stars. Human beings were always curious about it. So these questions were also asked in the past, and they have been answered here. Although their answers may seem much different than what we have studied in the school, but if you really go deep, it is not absolutely different. There is something common, something different. Both are there. So the commentary says, Bhuradinam Sambhava, the birth of earth, etc. Etani okamsi yesam tesham cha sambhava. And from where all this has come. Yatha iti sarvatra anusanga. The word yatha, which is coming from the previous chapter, previous verse, is applied everywhere. Bhuradinam bahuvidha bhakta aspadatvat tad okasam cha mayo adhikritadi bhaktatvat prasnoyam bhaktesu paryapnoti. And again he is relating it. He is asking, what is the point? Why is that devotee has to know this? So he says, because on earth and other planetary system there are many devotees living. Because we know that in Sutal, Prahlad Maharaj is living, Bali is living. So therefore it is interesting to know that. About that, the science of course is still trying to figure out whether there is life on the other planets or not. But at least according to Bhagavatam, there is life, and also not only life but devotees are living there. So that's how it is related with devotion. It is interesting to know how Lord manifests in other planets also. It's not that he only comes on the earth, he also comes in the heaven. As Vaman Dev, he appeared there. So devotee is very much interested in hearing about various manifestations of the Lord, various pastimes he performs, and then places related with those pastimes. So for that reason he says, Bhuradinam bahuvida bhakta aspadatvat. That earth, etc., they are the places for many devotees who have lived. Tada okasamche, their residence, mayo adhikritadi bhaktatvat prasnoyam bhaktesu. And these are the devotees who are under the kingdom of Maya. Because this material world is the kingdom of Maya Devi. So the devotees are also living here. And this question is related with these devotees. Then the next question is Pramanam andakoshasya bahyabhyantar abhedatah mehetam cha anucharitam varnashram vinishchaya. It also explained to me the size of the universe. Andakosha, because the universe is in the form of an egg. So what is the size of it? How big it is? And what is inside, what is outside? Bahya, Bhyantar, Bhedata, its divisions of in and out. So Bhagavatam will also talk about what is outside the universe. Science does not know anything beyond the universe. It knows very little within its universe and knows nothing at all what is outside. So as I said earlier, that 96% of the universe is full of dark matter, and only 4% is the visible matter, and of that 4% they may know 0.11 0.01%, not more. And what is outside is not known at all. So here that will also be explained. And then Mahatam Chanucharitam, the activities of the great people who are in the universe, and also about Varnashram. So Varnashram was also very important to understand. Now of course the Varnashram system is broken, but still it is very important to know it if you want peace in the society. Otherwise there will never be peace without understanding Varnashram, because it is related with the nature of human beings and how they have to be engaged so that they don't cause havoc in the society. This is very, very important. Pramanam andakosasya iti ashwarya pradhanayam bhaktau. So this is related with ashwarya pradhan bhakti. Bhakti is of two types, ashwarya pradhan and madhurya pradhan. So in ashwarya pradhan, Lord's majesty is given more importance. So this is Lord's majesty, that He is so great, He is so powerful and wonderful that He has created this big universe. So even to study this human body, it is so amazing how the human body functions. If you study just the human mind, how the human mind is working, how the emotions become manifest, and then are these emotions just some electrical currents or there is something beyond? It's very big. Scientists are unable to explain this. But how do we get our identity? Why do we have this feeling of I? From which part of the brain is it coming? They cannot figure out. And why is that we feel happy? And what is happiness? It is just some chemical changes in the brain, or is it something more than that? So it is very, very interesting if you start studying, and then to study this universe, and then you marvel at the person who must have designed it. Of course, science does not believe that somebody designed it. They think that it has evolved like this. But then they also cannot explain why the laws exist, why there is gravitation. And now they are beginning to question that maybe if you go to some other planet there is no gravitation, then what will happen? And if there was no gravitation, it will be very funny because you will be floating. You will not be able to sit on the chair. Now we sit on the chair, it's just so natural for us. You don't even think twice that I sit on the chair and I don't move. But if there was no gravitation, then you will be levitating like the followers of Maharishi Mahesh Yogi without TM. And sometimes chair will be below you and sometimes chair will be above you. You have to hold on to your chair. So life will be impossible without gravity. So and then why gravity is there? There is no answer to this. Why there is gravitation? So it is very interesting. So this is Aishwarya of the Lord.
Seems that there is a big magnet inside of the earth who keeps everything. Seems that it is something like a big magnet inside of the earth who keeps everything together.
No, that magnet is different from gravitation. That is another thing. Magnetic force, and why there is magnetic force? So these are mind-boggling things in science. Kidrishani andani bhagavad kukshav santi iti jigyasayam. So all this is lying inside the belly of the Lord. So That is the question. Then Varnashram. Varnashram dharma bhakti mishritaya eva siddhyanti tadanyatha va iti jigyasayam karma gyan mishrayam cha bhaktau prashnoyam prayatna. Now the question is that does Varnashram function by itself or it functions when it is mixed with devotion? So in that sense, this question is a mixture of karma and gyan with bhakti. Then the next question is Yugani yugmanam cha dharmo yascha yuge yuge avatara anucharitam yad ascharyatamam hare. And please explain to me about the various yugas, the divisions of cycles of time and their periods, how long they are, yugmanam, and what are the peculiarities, dharma, the characteristics of each yuga. So as we talked about time, time is very important factor. Time is the controller, and many things happen because of a particular time. Unless the time is there not ripe, then karma also cannot give its result. So things which are happening now, because now the time has come for them, and many things will happen in future because that is the time for them. So every yuga has got certain special characteristics. Just like we have seasons, and every season has got certain special quality, characteristic, the temperature, the air, and the various types of fauna and flora which comes into existence, the vegetables, the grains, the fruits, flowers they grow. So similarly in every yuga there are certain types of things which happen naturally. So he wants to know that. And then there are various avatars, the forms of Lord which become manifest in that. So he says, please also explain to me about that. And yada ascharya tamam hare. And he says, also explain to me the most wonderful avatar of Lord Hari. So he is not saying which one is that, but he is talking about Krishna, because he is the most wonderful. Yad Ascharya Tamam Hari, the most wonderful activities of Lord Hari, in which yuga it happened and what did he do, all this he wants to know. Yugani Yugavataranam Tat Pravartit Bhakti Visheshanam Cha Jigyasayam. And in which yuga, which type of bhakti is more prominent, or which type of spiritual practice is prescribed, and who are the great followers of that path. So in that sense, this question is also related with bhakti. And I will stop here because there are more questions coming for me. And if you have any question